Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is the City of Aspen City Council regular meeting of November 12th, 2024. With that as a called order, could we have a roll call for attendance, please?
Councilor Doyle? Here. Councilor Booth? Councilor Howenstein? Here. Councilor Rose?
Here.
And Mayor Tory?
I'm here as well. With scheduled public appearances tonight, that will bring you citizens' comments and petitions. This is an opportunity first to address council on items that are not scheduled for a public hearing on tonight's agenda. We limit your comments to about 3 minutes. Everybody has a fair opportunity to speak. Are there any members of the public to speak this evening? So you want a hand up first? Come on. I'm happy. How are you?
Oh, well, thank you. Quickly, I sent an email to all of you.
Get your name for the record.
Cecil Hernandez. I had sent an email on October 7th to you and council regarding some basic city services as they relate to the West End that I think maybe need some attention. Specifically, alley maintenance, especially the alley that I live in because it gets a lot of traffic because of a condo project that's on the corner. That alley is in a constant state of mud and just, it's really a mess. I've been in contact with the city services to look at grading and possibly putting down some gravel to alleviate this situation. They did grade it, you know, the dirty fine, and if there's no gravel on it, when it gets wet, it just goes in mud and ruts out, and that's the condition that it is today. So that's the first, that was the first item on the email that I sent. The second one was just concern about police presence in the West End due to the exiting of traffic on Smugglin and the race through the West End in the evening, specifically as it relates to children in the neighborhood, and also the disregard of the Hallam Street pedestrian walkway that is, I think, it's almost a freeway at times. I know it's down now. In the summer, people just do not follow that one block thing. So I think a bit more police presence there would be very much appreciated. And then thirdly, this 7th Street exit from 7th Street over to the corner to Main Street, that is blockaded at some times, and I've seen people take the blockade down and, you know, go right over that. So my concern there is just police presence and maybe a little stricter enforcement of those rules.
Thank you so much for that. I shared your email with the city manager so we have eyes on all items that are included in your email. And thank you for timeliness. You're talking about approach winter. I think that's very helpful.
How do we look at Tory, on, you know, maybe a little more attention, especially to this alley in particular? I don't really know what the shapes of the, what kind of shape the other alley in the West End are in, but this particular alley that I live on, I mean, I've gravelled it myself, to be honest with you, our portion of it, because it really is a mess.
So we've initiated, but we've got a plan for our streets and engineering to come back to us with some ideas and some budget impacts around alley improvements or an alley improvement program that we may venture into. So that work is being done and looked at kind of holistically. As far as your particular alley and maybe maintenance issues that you have, like I said, I've shared your email with the city manager, so she'll get attention on it in some way and deal with you direct, I'm sure.
Okay. So
and we provide Mr. Hernandez a response back to his October 7th email.
And again, for still treatment for our alley, but again, it's a little different because there's, and I don't know how many units are in that condo project on the corner of 7th and Hallam, but they all use that alley, and it gets probably more traffic than almost any other alley, because other alleys, there's garages there, maybe or a side.
Yeah.
And there's easily 12 or maybe 14 units in that one unit alone, one complex alone.
Just for note, and for staff that is following this thing about this and working on some of that plan, it brings up an interesting point here about usage and degree of usage, perhaps, in some of the alleys that they're going to be looking at. I appreciate that.
So, any time on a response, or?
Well, there's been one response to your email. We'll find out. I'll find out more. I'll probably get with Sarah next Monday, and we'll probably bring this up and find out an update.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Mike?
Mike Mabel. I'm here tonight because on the long-range agenda there was scheduled construction demolition waste, something or another. That has since been moved apparently another 5 weeks. When you all discussed that last, it was a long time ago, and I anticipated that it would be a very long time before it came before you again, and it's going to be a long time plus 5 more weeks. In any event, the spirit in which you all discussed reviewing demolition and recycling, this demolition and recycling program, was in the context of also considering it as a component of possibly revisiting the growth management demolition allotment program that I personally feel is an absolute disaster for our community. To the extent I've been able to gain any intelligence about what's being reviewed for this demolition and construction waste discussion that was scheduled tonight, it doesn't include any discussion of demolition allotments. And so I'm here to say that if you're going to consider modifications to demolition and construction waste recycling, that in the spirit of your previous discussions, for sure it should have a component that revisits demolition allotment and in recognition of proposed higher level of inland construction waste. Secondly, I understand tonight you are going to, I guess, call up the former, well, what's it called, Crystal Palace building. It is not a public hearing.
I understand. I, for one, am recused and such, so know if you can comments about it, if I have any obligation to recuse or if comments are appropriate.
He's not asking for any action on behalf of council at this point. This is merely public comment. I don't think we need to leave for public comment at this point. Any decision-making, we need to.
Okay, thank you. In any event, I understand historic preservation projects are long and complex. I understand the claims that this west wall is not as historic as it was originally imagined to be. However, it certainly meets my standard as a very historic wall. I believe from the information that I read, the mural, which is definitely iconic for our community, was originally painted in 1908, well over 100 years ago. I believe the National Historic Standard is 100 years, so we're well past that. Do walls and structures need to be repaired over time, and does that render them no longer historic? I don't think so. This wall has existed in its current state as long as I've been conscious of it, which is since 1968, and I believe that the intention of the approvals that were gained was pretty demanded or required that it be maintained in its current configuration. It has to be rebuilt for structural reasons. I get if it has to be rebuilt, very substantially, I get it, but it should restored so that it continues to look as it has since 1908 or thereabouts. Secondly, in my experience with historic preservation projects, there is always incentives that are provided as part of a historic designation and approval process. I don't know what they were the project, but there is no question in my mind, based on every single historic project that I have seen, that there were some sort of incentives and variances and considerations that were offered for this property to be historic. The south wall has already been completely destroyed. So if you had two walls that were supposed to be preserved and you've removed one, half of the incentives should have gone with it. To the extent you consider this quite awful proposal for the reconfiguration of the west wall, if it's not, it doesn't remain as it was when this development started. Any and all variances and incentives that were granted because of the historic nature of this property should absolutely be removed. I encourage you to require the renovation and maintenance of this wall in its current configuration. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Yep, Phyllis?
Phyllis Bronson. I completely disagree with Mr. Maples. I'll right in and say I was at the HPC hearing last month, and it was extremely well done, and the consensus was to grant the approval to go forward. I've had so many people speak to me who used to be nostalgic about that wall say there's no there there. And federal brick restoration experts, I have spoken with two, have said it is not salvageable. There's no incentive when you can't say something to try to claim that it's historic. It doesn't make sense, and it makes HPC look weak to try to claim it when it's not there. And furthermore, it was unfortunate. It was Rosh Hashanah Eve, although Rosh Hashanah didn't start till it started. And anybody who had wanted to speak earlier could have. And it's a real disservice to alternates on these commissions when their word is not taken at face value. And often these alternates are even more experienced than some of the people speaking for, because they work in the sector and they know a lot. And I think it's very disrespectful to not honor an alternate who was there willingly. And that HPC commission is notoriously hard to gather for any extra meeting. I happen to know that it was a 2-year process to get that meeting. I mean, Mark Hunt didn't want it on Rosh Hashanah Eve. It was the night that was available to get them all together, whoever could be there. And that was the only unfortunate piece. And, I was reflecting on the University of Pennsylvania sociology professor's book earlier. Adam Grant wrote a book called Think Again, and he was recently interviewed saying people get married to an idea, and then when they find out that they might be wrong, there's a certain element of well, I don't want to categorize people as such, an element of human, when they realize they might be wrong. They get more married to the idea rather than looking objectively. I'm not interested in evading reality. I'm interested in looking at the facts. That wall is not salvageable, and if you give Mark Hunt permission to get building done, it will get done pretty fast. It would not be perfect, but it will be good, and it will be beautiful, and it will honor to that whole corner. If you keep doing this, and then everybody's mad again for the next few years, and they're going to be mad because it's stalled, what are you accomplishing? I can't even begin to imagine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for hearing me tonight and for the work at Elm, and I live on Original Street on Glory Hole Park. Since moving to Aspen 50 years ago, I've experienced Route 82, both living in town and from down valley while living in Old Snowmass. I live on Glory Hole Park. I've not seen much consideration for workers in the discussion on Route 82. I have a couple suggestions for everyone that's going to answer the questions on the bridge and the entrance to Aspen. However, this is especially for those of you that will be making the decision on how to move forward. Everyone should get up at least one weekday morning at 8 a.m. to the airport, turn around there, and then drive back into town. Meanwhile, timing yourself and see how much time you're crawling along with traffic. This is off-season, so it's not as bad now as during the ski season. In those times, you're backed up to the airport. Then do the reverse around 5:30 into the back of the line on Main Street, and again, count your time to get to the airport. Multiply that times 5 days per week, then a month, then a year. You should do both of these things more than once to experience what we're asking the workers to do. Aspenites rightly want to keep the town's ambience, but we also need to be realistic and realize that the workers are an essential part of what makes town run. They should also have a say in the solution to this problem. If workers have a way to get in and out of town safely and quickly, it would solve the West End sneak that this gentleman, I think he just left, but the gentleman was speaking about earlier. It would give you happier West End residents and a happier workforce. It would be much easier on people of Aspen if your office, restaurant, and retail workers could get into town, get their vehicles parked, and then to work the fastest without taking the parking spaces for those patronizing the businesses. When the help wanted signs are most every window and employers needing workers, that's what this is about. Think of what it would mean to the town if all of these workers decided not to come into work for a week during tourist season. This town would shut down. And how would that affect this decision? We are a tourist town, but the thing that sets Aspen apart from the vales of the country is that Aspen was a town first, and we want to remain that more. We love open space. The cut and fill proposal would change the look of the rural area, but it would not preclude any of the activities that are there now. And it would still be open space on the side of the road. I've not seen the questions, but if they do not address worker issues and contain hard choices, you're wasting time and money. I saw that Rachel, who has experience in all this, has suggestions, and please incorporate all suggestions. Do not put a Band-Aid on the problem. Find the solution that is the quickest and easiest for workers to get in and out of town, and also where there is adequate egress in case of a fire or other emergencies.
3 minutes.
While we need to keep Aspen the special place that it is,
Thank you,
the
Sue.
critical workforce is an essential part. And remember the line. Thanks for your time and consideration.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you.
For public comment this evening? Francis.
Heather Stuckins, I've lived in Aspen 38 years. Previous comments on the workers coming to town. I'm a worker, I've lived in town, I've been lucky. And I ride my bicycle today, in the snow, whatever. It was okay, it was about 8 o'clock, huge line of traffic. I'm wondering if I should wear a mask when I'm riding. But I think about these things, but what I'm really looking for and moving ahead on, as soon as I get the normal cannabis, Lauren Mayton, in contact and we can have a conference, is a cannabis consumption lounge called the Aspen Teapad, possibly in the Armory. Moving forward on what I need to know and what it can be to propose this, I think, again, in reiterated this at the last few work sessions, public comment sessions about being able to get this to happen. It looks like it has to come up to a vote, and we have to have a pretty good, solid proposal. So as soon as I'm able to, within all legalities and Amendment 64 and City Ordinance 38, all these issues, and I'm not an attorney, I'm just working on a place where we could have a forum to discuss all these issues with the public and have a few laughs. And if it would be in the Armory, there's 3 or 4 kiosks for food, and you could bring to go into the consumption lounge for anyone who has the munchies. But I think it's a good place to be able to open discussion among citizens and then propose again to City Council something that could happen in the future for a great tax revenue base. And, I think it would be a lot of fun, too, and need this kind of thing. And considering that it is a vote that we could have, I'm all for us being in a blue state where there's a lot of hope for the future for this kind of thing. I wish I was a better public speaker. My ears are turning red, and I think about it. So thanks for listening, and this is just the beginning.
Thanks, Francis.
Thanks, Francis.
Thank you.
Other members of the public for public comment tonight? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and bring it back to council table. Council members' comments this evening? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Once again, council members' comments this evening.
Thank you. For the interest of transparency and public disclosure that I'm involved in an initiative to put the entrance to Aspen as a ballot issue come March. There's a deadline, December 3rd, to receive all of the signatures necessary. I think it's 325. My engagement in this is as a private citizen, not as a member of Aspen City Council, but I want to disclose that I am involved in that. I was frustrated we couldn't get it on the ballot for this November, so I'm making an effort to get it on as a ballot question for March.
Could I ask you for clear about that? You said you want to bring the entrance to ballot question, but that's not. I mean, the ballot it doesn't read like that. Can you just share with people like what the ballot initiative what it says?
I didn't want this to be part of the City Council business, but it says that passage of this Home Rule Charter Amendment will allow VI.D to plan and construct an entrance to Aspen, either at the preferred alternative or an alternate preferred alternative record of decision after we engage in the environmental impact assessment that we will be scoping for in this evening's meeting. So it is allow CDOT to use a sliver of the Merle Thomas open space for transportation corridor as determined by the citizens, CDOT, the EIS, in any process that any result of that process. So it would allow the use of the preferred alternative as it stands now, but we're reopening that process, and all options will be on the table of discussion. So we don't know what it's going to be. What this Home Rule Charter Amendment does is grants CDOT the ability to use Merle Thomas open space.
Thank you. Somewhat response to another citizen-initiated petition for another ballot question.
It is in an effort to move forward an entrance to Aspen.
Thank you. Any other comments?
No.
Sam, I'm looking this way. No? John, I'll go to you.
Sure. As of October 31st, job conditions covered a remarkable 87% of the country. That's why we have forest fires burning on both coasts right now. An 18-year-old firefighter was killed by fire in on the border of New Jersey and New York yesterday. Also from CNN, 2024 will be the first year on record to smash a warning limit scientists warned about. New data firms 2024 will be the hottest year on record and the first calendar year to exceed the Paris Agreement threshold. Devastating news planet that comes as America has chosen a president that has promised to do climate progress at home and abroad. And that's, again, the main reason I got involved in local politics is to help address these issues, and I'm proud to be part of a city that takes these concerns very seriously.
Thank you. Bill, comments this evening? All right, I have a few items, but I will start off with this entrance to Aspen topic because it was just brought forward and public comment. I'm sorry around, but first of all, everybody just take a deep breath and relax. We've been talking about the entrance to Aspen for a long time. We're moving towards solution, whatever that solution may be. It'll be okay. For folks like Sue who make comments in the nature that she did, I think we all should be aware of and cognizant of the fact that we are talking about 1/3 of a mile from the roundabout to Main Street. This is not going to solve commuter traffic issues. We are hoping that will enhance mass transit, and that may have some impacts. But as Francis was saying, multimodal transit is something that we support as well. I think studies that have been done previously around the preferred alternative have identified perhaps a 60 seconds or 2-minute savings because the stretch is so small. So we are looking at the best solutions for this community, and we hope to work together with folks. This is kind of a contentious issue for some reason, but everybody should just relax and work together. Thanks. Other announcements I have, courtesy of the Communications Department. You may not know it, but celebrating National GIS Day is coming. So we want you to celebrate GIS Day with the City of Aspen Engineering Department. Join us November 20th for an open house to showcase the new Map Aspen open data site. That is Map Aspen. From 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. November 20th in the Pearl Pass Conference Room, 3rd floor, City Hall. Attendees will have a chance to explore how this tool can empower residents and businesses alike. A live demonstration will take place from noon to 1, where you can learn firsthand how to access and use the site features. Again, that is Map Aspen, and it's a GIS tool. It can help both individual citizens as well as business. Applications for the Cultural Vibrancy Fellowship are now open. The Cultural Vibrancy Fellowships are available to both adults and youth artists. It's a unique opportunity for artists who are looking to pursue and grow their careers or their craft. The fellowship supports local individual artists by providing funding and promoting relationship building within the artistic community. Local artists can apply by November 21st. The deadline is approaching. To apply, go to aspen.gov. The Wheeler Opera House season announcements are coming. We want to invite the community to the Wheeler on November 14th, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. That is this Thursday. To learn about the exciting lineup for the winter season, Mike Harrington, the Wheeler's new executive director, will share the 2025 season lineup, including Aspen Laugh Festival. The Wheeler will also be launching Wheeler Insider. We used to have the Wheeler Wins program, a similar program with discounts and opportunities to enjoy the Wheeler for locals called Wheeler Insider is going to be launched as well. Bring your ID to sign up for the Wheeler Insider. You're going to want to do this. We'll see you Thursday, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Wheeler. And then the Red Brick Center for the Arts exhibition is going on. The Red Brick Center for the Arts is hosting an artist exhibition also on November 14th. At 5 o'clock. This one 5 to 7, so you have time to do both. Experience showcase of various artists' work and check out the center's new renovations. Those are my comments for the evening. I looked for agenda and I finally found my full and complete agenda, so I did it on my own. We'll go to city manager's comments tonight if Sarah has any.
Just a couple real quick things. First, council, I want to know that you had a resident who came before you at the last meeting who had concerns regarding the status of her unit at Trescott. I want you to know that that is completely resolved. All levels are within acceptable levels of materials. And that as a precautionary method, APSHA also tested additional units to verify whether there were any other conditions. Those were all found to be within acceptable limits. So from my view as overseeing our vendor for property management there, I feel that they've completed all the work that was required for that situation. Secondly, I just wanted to give you a heads up. You'll see a press release that came out during this meeting, but I just want to give a shout out to our folks over at Aspen Police for work on what could have been a pretty challenging crime in town this week. Their hard work and partnership with several law enforcement agencies has led to the arrest of 4 suspects. Big shout out to the VI.E. PD for their help in making that happen as well. And so that's going to be it for me tonight because we have a lot to get through tonight.
John?
I did want to add one more thing. I had a water main break outside where I work, and I went up, and I just want to say I was there while buddy started to show up from the city. Tyler was there. Liz Apsford showed up. The whole thing was handled very professionally, and they didn't leave the light until the water was turned back on, which was after dark. So it just, I was really pleased with the way staff handled that. Thank you.
Thank you. Boards, some brief board reports. Would anybody like to share any board meeting highlights? Do you have any, John?
I have 2. Had a development meeting, pretty short. We went over our purpose, vision, and mission statement, and talked about more outreach for possible donors. And then we had a WI.A meeting last week also. We talked about zebra and quagga mussels and the fact that at root, we had 5,837 inspections because of the damaged mussels due to infrastructure. Out of those, nearly 6,161 of those boats had to be decontaminated, and only 4 were found to have mussels. 2 of those 4 were found on opening day. And it's suspected that most of these mussels come from Lake Powell, from the western part through Junction, and somehow make it past the Loma. We also voted on some new officers. Tom Fridstein from Snowmass Village is our secretary. Greg Poshman is now our chair, and Ryan Slack from Basalt is our secretary. Also trying to coordinate winter releases from VI.D to get rid of anchor ice in the frying pan, and we are planning for another regional water summit. That's it from our WI.A.
Thank you very much. Board reports for me is just a heads up that this after meeting that I'll be attending at 8:30 in Carbondale. Mostly we're in budget process right now, so not a whole bunch going on.
After tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Thank you. With that, it brings us to our consent calendar this evening. Our consent calendar consists of resolution number 133. This is a contract with Gould Construction for Lumberyard Affordable Housing Project Phase 0. And I think that might be even Phase 0.1. Resolution number 134, approving a contract with Grassroots Community Network. Resolution number 135, entrance to Aspen EIS scoping change order. Resolution number 136, Wheeler contract with Major League Booking, LLC for performances at the Wheeler Opera House. And the draft minutes of October 22nd and November 4th. Are there items that council members need pulled for further discussion?
133, 134, 135, please.
33, 134, 135, thank you. Any others?
No more. Okay.
Thank you. Let's start with 133, please. This is the contract with Gould Construction for Lumberyard Affordable Housing Project Phase 0. Bill, you have questions?
Not so much a question, thank you. But that it would be so irresponsible for us to proceed with this contract at this time. I do not think it's a big deal to go out to the RFP responders and ask them to incorporate this work into their scope. I don't think that we want to go down a path that's going to be difficult to step away from with the city leading this phase of development. We are so far above budget and above what we have told this community this project is going to cost. I think we need to take a step back, take a pause, do everything we can to make sure that we are doing this in the most cost-effective way possible. Thanks.
Thanks for your comment.
I'll just make a comment on this. I know that we were way over budget on what was anticipated, I think, in 2021 when it was projected. I've been involved in this process since its beginning, and people at the stable have been involved in it since they've been on council. That I would say to 50% or more of the price increases are the result of council decisions to make this a better project. So I'll take ownership of 53% of those increases, or 47% or whatever.
What if I might counter that? I don't think it was broken out by which changes were driven by VI.A, CDOT, council decisions, et cetera. So there's certainly a portion that were driven by council decisions, including the retaining walls and the parking and things that we did discuss. But you didn't have any impact, I don't think, directly on the VI.A decisions or CDOT decisions, and we have no idea the magnitude of those compared to.
No, Bill, I did ask staff to come up with some of the changes that were made. I don't know if you have that information, but I wanted to be able to quantify all the changes that were made. I know VI.A, CDOT, and other entities are responsible for the cost increase, and I think construction inflation was 47% or something, and probably by the time it's built, it's going to be above that. But yeah, acknowledge your comments, Bill.
As a matter of consistency and process, I think it was like a year ago around this time that we voted consent agenda on the Phase 0 of the Lumberyard, and here we are again. In the interest, once again, of consistency and agreeing with Bill's comments earlier, I believe it should be folded into the RFP process with the developers at hand, of which we have many qualified. And for that reason, I very much support the Lumberyard. I can't wait till it gets built. But as far as this goes, process and the way it's gone, I do not want to support this. I'd rather see it as part of an RFP with a developer. That's doing the whole project.
Thank you, Sam. I'll make a couple comments, I suppose. I support this evening, and the reason I would support this evening is because in this approval, we are looking for phase 0.1, is that correct? Approval, which is a contract that's been presented by Gould in the amount of $3 million and change, if you will, $3,030,000. And this is for the demolition and site preparation to get us to the infrastructure and grade that needs to happen next. There was a concern that this actual part of this phase, phase 0, was going to be over twice this amount, and it's not. And so I think that it's really best move for us to move forward with this, get this demolition and site preparation going on. I do wonder if there's opportunity for phase 0.2 to start looking at other opportunities, as we say, folding it into RFP. What would be the appetite for somebody taking that on? But at this time, for this contract and the item that's in front of us, I support us moving forward. And I think the best move here is to get this going on so that, once again, the interested parties that we have, and we do have interested parties for partnership here, that this is moving forward and gets this property to an even easier state for them to deal with. So I think this is actually the best move forward. I'm so glad that we're finding ways to save money on different phases, and this one I think needs to move forward. So I'm prepared to vote in favor of this. I haven't heard anything that would change me from that point of view. So I appreciate it. Yeah, Bill.
An additional question would be how staff came up with a recommendation for a bidder 35% higher than the low bidder on that quite a large delta.
The bidder was a contractor, did not have as much experience as the selected contractor.
So the bidder was GC from HGC. Didn't have identified their earthwork contract. They're going to have to sub all this work to someone. They couldn't identify that for us. That's the vast, what we're looking for, this earthwork. So without that, I'm very confident awarding them the contract.
They also didn't have the bonding capacity.
For earthwork contractors here in the valley, in order to perform the work, there's only a few of them. It's not very feasible for someone from the front range to haul all the equipment over the Continental Divide to do this work. So we are pretty limited with the amount of people that can A, perform the scope work, and B, to have the bonding capacity to bond it and meet those requirements.
Thank you.
And Rob, could you explain why a bond is to tear down a building and put in some horizontal infrastructure?
I have to defer to Jim, but this is a statutory requirement, right?
Yes, I believe it is. It's within the state construction codes. I believe it may be in our building codes also. So it's statutory.
For work of a certain level to be performed by a municipality, is that right?
I believe so, yes.
Thanks.
Mr. Mayor, while I'm talking, can I clarify something?
I guess so.
Not as this was being worked on, but the resolution does refer to phase 0 versus phase 0.0.2 in the memos. And I do believe as looking back and forth, that probably the resolution, if it's to be approved, should probably state 0.1.
Thank you. Ward, did you have a comment?
Yeah, this is no news to all of you guys that are viewers, but the 15% contingency gives me heartburn, and I wonder if there's a way that we can incentivize not using that 15% contingency, because to me, it seems like a project never gets done until all the contingency has been used. So I'd like to see some way to encourage not using that 15% contingency.
We can definitely work on that. I think, again, if you see the projects where we did blow through contingency, because we have to come back to you for a conversation around operations, there's lots of projects we don't blow all the way through contingency that never come to you and return to the fund balance of those funds when the project's completed.
Show me money.
Yeah, we can. That's actually a difficult thing for us. That's something that we can pull together and have for you. December, I don't think next week really works for us.
It's fine. It would just be nice to see that.
Sure. And then secondly, just to remind council is that this team is December for a project update with you in work session.
Jim, I am looking at the resolution. I don't know if I've got the right one in front of me. I've got change order 33.
33 has the phrase 0, and the first word as it in the first point of the resolution.
Yeah, but look at the amount there. If I'm looking at resolution 133.
This is consistent with the other bid award resolutions. You're authorizing the contract that is attached to the resolution, as well as the administration of the contingency up to the 15%, which is $154,663.
Okay.
And that is represented in the memo as part of phase
Thank you.
0.1.
Okay, that being the case, and a couple of council members expressing desire to vote on this separately, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion for resolution number 133 with the amendment to identify this as phase 0.1. Is that enough?
That's enough.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Could we have a...
This is to pass.
This is to pass resolution 133, which is authorizing the contract in the amount of $3,031,000 and a couple $100 plus the administrative oversight of change orders that will not exceed the contingency fund. Yes. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Could we have a roll call vote for resolution number 133, please?
Counselor Doyle?
Let's move this forward. I vote yes.
Counselor Guth?
No.
Counselor Hamstein?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
No.
Mayor Tory?
A vote for affordable housing. Yes. All right, let's go to, thank you guys very much.
Thanks.
Let's go to resolution number 134.
Thanks, Jen. So my question on this one is really about, is this an opportunity to improve the status quo? There's been a broader conversation about hybrid meetings for our boards and committee. Not received any information back on that. This has been a conversation for a year or more that I believe we have major council support on exploring. When I've asked questions about it in the past, the name Grassroots has been mentioned many times, and something about the interaction between Grassroots. My experience doing the city council meetings remotely, that experience could be better, I think, in terms of being able to see my fellow council people when I'm green, when Grassroots decides to switch off to the presentation materials. I can't see the faces and reactions of others, which I would find valuable. The question is, should we use this as an opportunity to improve? Is this a technological thing? Is this a service level thing? I don't know the answer to those, but before approving this contract, I'd like to make sure that we're moving in the direction of enhancing and improving the status quo, not maintaining.
So there are a couple of questions there. I think that we are happy to have conversations about the meeting work better, both on the Zoom side, if that's where it is, was handled on the IT level, or if there's something that you'd like us to address with that are related to the meeting conversation. I'm happy to have those conversations. And as it relates to the idea of having additional meetings and be in a hybrid setting, certainly we could add scope to contract related to the if there was a desire to have the broadcast component to add those meetings to this contract through a chamber. I think what we heard primarily was that there was a desire for there to be hybrid meetings, not necessarily that they be broadcast. So the Grassroots kind of component of this is really the broadcast station management, which is part of the franchise, and then also the broadcast that we're doing, but it's not it's the switching of the cameras, but it's not necessarily the Zoom component. So I think there's still an opportunity for the Zoom component to happen for an EPC or another of our boards or commissions that doesn't necessarily implicate the broadcast component, but certainly we could edit if that was the desire of this body. We have long planned to come back to talk about the changes to bylaws and some of those other things. We have unfortunately been in another direction. So we will come back and have those conversations, and we can look to do that of quarter.
So and I'm supportive of Grassroots and the work that they do, and I have no problem with the contract per se, but I just wanted to use it as an opportunity to check in. So I guess my specific question will be, is there any reason not to approve this contract this time while we're improving upon those two things that we discussed?
Staff's recommendation is to approve the contract.
Thank you. Any other questions here? All right. Thanks, Jen. And then the next one, you can stay right there, I bet. Resolution number 135, reference to Aspen EIS scoping change order.
Shall I go first again?
Yeah, it's you.
Thank you. I really only have one question on this, is what's the dollar amount that it's going to take to get us to a completed EIS? And I know that that's, you don't have a granular answer now, but how many, give me some order of magnitude about what we're talking here. I just want to make sure before we go part of the way into the water that we know how deep it is.
So this piece, which could be kind of the pre-NEPA scope to get to that actual move forward with the EIS. So the amount plus probably $2 to $3 million. We've been saying $2 to $3 million and 2 to 3 years. There is a shot clock on the EIS process itself, and it's 2 years. That additional year is kind of this kind of pre-NEPA component. So hopefully that answers your question.
So just make sure I understand, you're saying 2 to 3 million plus this change order?
Yeah.
That's us to the end of the process. Thank you.
I would say we are hopeful it gets us to the end of the process. There's, I have to put a qualifier in there that because the city will not run the process, this process will be run by the Federal Administration and CDOT, there could be additional expenses of which they require in order to believe it's a complete process.
Thank you.
Just one question. I've heard so much about elections coming up in March, and I just wanted to ask the scope of work that's being asked for here. It won't be wasted money if ballot questions turn out a certain way. It's still good to move forward with this change order, regardless of how those ballot questions go, if you know that.
Well, what I would say is that the question about whether or not our disagreement regarding use of the open space, whether it's a vote or not, you know, we have maintained that there needs to be a vote. So whether it's 50% or 60% to get to that threshold to use the open space, I think that's still a question that's either way. I haven't seen the ballot language for those other questions that were being talked about, so it's a little bit difficult for me to answer that question. But maybe Sarah has something she'd like to add.
That's really the key question from an authority for you.
That's fine. I just wanted to ask it because it's what it is. So I just want to make sure.
I would say these steps are necessary for anything outside of perhaps the preferred alternative as recorded. And it might be somewhat necessary in reaffirming that. So I don't think it's wasted dollars. I think it is part of the process that we need to be doing.
Understood. Yeah, and that's the point I'm just trying to make. It's not putting the cart before this because the Aspen issue goes back and forth as far as process goes. So.
Yeah, this process is necessary to get best result. I think that if there was no question that we're going to use a preferred alternative, I don't think we'd be doing this. We wouldn't be spending $2 to $3 million of city money. We wouldn't be waiting 2 to 3 years. But if we didn't do all of that, we wouldn't get a real pulse of the community and try to get the best product that we can. When the entrance to Aspen is finally done, hopefully I'm still around when that happens. But yeah, I support this. I think that the community needs it. Whether it's any alternatives, the community needs to weigh in on this. We need this.
John?
Yeah, I think at least moving along, I think we need to keep this as possible. So I'm supportive of keeping this.
Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to approve the balance of the consent calendar with the exception of Resolution 133, which has been separately voted on.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
I apologize for this, and I said this in the friendliest possible way, and I have a question for Jim, but it was a point of order thing. When we do roll call votes, I just was hoping, as Bob's rule of order, that we would just say yes or no and not add further comment to it. It's not that I don't respect the things that you're saying, it's just that we've had discussion, we're voting on it, and it sort of muddies the water, or however you want to say it, to add like for affordable housing, something like that. I just wish that was said before a vote was being taken rather than during Bob's rules of order, and I just want to clarify that and say it in the most respectful way. But I'm just hoping when we do roll call votes, it's just yes or no and nothing else.
Bob's Rules of Order does address that issue, so it's not adopted Bob's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order does not prohibit those kinds of statements. Council could make a rule separate from Robert's Rules under the rules and regulations that have adopted it. It's not done so at this point.
Okay, well, I want that clarity. I mean, it's my request. Just say yes. Now I know that you don't need to. I just would hope that that's what we do, but understood. All right, thank you.
Just a question for the council. Would we like to support adopting Bob's rules?
In a second on the table.
Sorry.
I thought it already passed.
No, this was.
You haven't had a roll call on them.
No, this was just further
Motion and a
discussion.
second on the table.
That's all I wanted.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's see. Under further discussion, I'll say now then, yes, for the entrance of Aspen moving forward, I intend to support this. I withheld some comments on my last go-around with that issue that had to do with affordable housing. But next time I'll make sure to make those in discussion portion, not at. Thanks. With that, can we have a roll call vote for the consent calendar?
Councilor Doyle? Yes. Councilor Guth?
Yes.
Councilor Hohenstein?
Yes.
Councilor Rose? Yes. And Mayor Tory?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
For this next item, I am recused.
As well as
our city attorney due to proximity for the item that is coming up. John, you will be chairing the meeting, and let me know when we are moving on to the next segment of our agenda. Thank you.
Thanks. Made it mad. Trying to be as nice as I could.
Mayor Pro Tem, is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes, please do.
And there's more for clarity. If we haven't adopted it, then so be it, but. Yeah, well, I just read it, and I mean, yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. For the record, Ben Anderson, Community Development Director. Bringing to you a notice of call-up for 300 to 312 East Hyman, the building more commonly known as the former Crystal Palace. This notice of call-up was a response to previous council action. Again, as a reminder, this is not the action that HPC took leading to this process is not one typically that requires notice of call-up to you, and so you previously mentioned to give direction to staff to provide notice of call-up. I've got a brief presentation this evening. Typically during notice of call-up, just because I think there's a comment this evening and I think a topic of community interest, typically this is a fairly cursory presentation of the decision that HPC made. Staff is happy to answer any questions this evening, but should you make a decision to call up this item, that would be at the point where we would, both the applicant and staff would kind of present a new information to you about the application and what HPC approved. So with that, again, I did want to describe a little bit of the process that HPC went through, what occurred on October 2nd in their decision, the outcomes of that decision, and then give you obviously the opportunity to call up the item should you desire. So staff did request, and HPC did grant a special meeting on October 2nd. There was, considerable calendar pressures. We identified this as a Wednesday when HPC typically meets.